I hate when people say that. I hate when people say that. Like, look at that. Should I sue her for lying her off about me? It's confusing. I don't get it. Emma really confuses me. I'm Layla, I'm autistic, and I watch a lot of trash TV. Most recently, season 9 of Selling Sunset, and this season has been the most problematic one yet. There has been a lot of discourse online and people are not happy, rightfully so in my opinion, because this season truly was something. Straight off the bat, I'm just gonna say I'm not really a fan of anyone anymore after this season. But before I get into the topic of this video, I do just want to say that reality TV is designed for discussions and opinions. We don't all have to agree, but we can disagree politely. So let's take a look at one of Emma's interviews post-season where she talks about her friendship with Chrishell. Or lack of friendship with Chrishell.
What were you hoping would happen between the two of you at reunion?
I thought maybe we could have come to a point where, okay, you don't like him, you guys just don't get along, but there was so much love with you and I at one point that maybe we could just put the differences aside a little bit. We probably won't be necessarily...
Okay, this feels like a head in the clouds, on a different planet response to this question, to be honest, because she's essentially saying, in an ideal world, we'd all just get along and Chrishell would just let me be in my relationship and she doesn't have to like him, but we can all be respectful. But when you take in the context of the situation, it's a ridiculous stance to have, to be honest, because when you think about their friendship and who Chrishell is as a person, she's queer, married to a non-binary person. They've been best friends for like 4 seasons. The context of who her friends are, what they stand for, versus the man that she's chosen to be in a relationship with, it's a bit confusing. I don't understand it.
As close, but we could have just a nice, cordial relationship. Ultimately, I don't want to fight with anyone, and I wish her and G nothing but the best. So for me, it's a loss. It's a loss. I lost my best friend, so that's difficult in itself.
Was the last time you spoke to her at reunion, which taped, I think, over a month ago at this point?
Yes, I have not spoken to her since the reunion.
As you mentioned, her big issue was Blake.
So, your least favorite person in the entire world did ask me a bigger question.
I have to say, I do agree when people say that Chrishell was way too strong on her opinions about Blake. But again, and I'm going to keep saying it, context is going to be like the word of this video. Chrishell clearly knows the kind of person that Blake is. She thinks she knows the kind of person that Emma is. So from Chrishell's perspective, like the two aren't adding up. I do think she should have been a little bit kinder in the way that she communicated her dislike for Blake. 100%. Like, it feels very unfriendly.
He asked you to marry him? What did you say?
Well, I don't have a ring on my finger.
Okay.
And I ended things with him. Like, for good.
When you said you broke up with him this season, I think a question is, Did you actually break up, or were you breaking up to kind of save face with her on camera?
No, that was the thing. And we really had broken up. I mean, there was probably like a 2-month period where we didn't talk, which is a decent amount of time. When, you know, you're on and off with somebody, you really think that maybe this is the end, you know what I mean? But ultimately it wasn't. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, and I don't think that I should be punished as hard as I was. You know, I did follow my heart, whether you like it or you don't like it. I did just kind of have to go with how I felt.
A lot of things that I have an issue.
I don't want to be mean, but my issue with Emma is it comes across very like, I don't want to say she's playing dumb, but she has to be playing dumb to some degree, because she's either playing dumb or she genuinely has the same views as Blake, which if that's the case, why was she friends with Chrishell and Chelsea for so long? It's confusing. I don't get it. Emma really confuses me. Like I said, I'm autistic, so The majority of the times I do struggle to understand people's intentions. And that's the thing with watching Selling Sunset, I have noticed, is I will genuinely believe someone's intentions are great. So for Brie, for example, there are points in this season where I've watched the show and I'm like, oh, Brie seems nice. Like, she seems genuine there. And then I'll go on social media and then I find out that she's got a lawsuit from past employees, and I'll listen to someone else's video and that'll completely change my perspective, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realise, I didn't view it that way. Like, it's difficult because I feel like being autistic, it's harder for me to understand people and their intentions, but also I do tend to see things a little bit differently.
What is the story behind calling her in these like whispered bathroom moments that she brought up at reunion?
Oh my goodness.
Every time you called me, you made me worry so much about you. You called me whispering from the bathroom.
It was, okay, I was at his house in Atlanta and, you know.
Okay, this part where Chrishell at the reunion shares that Emma used to ring her in the bathroom, like whispering, that is a really out-of-pocket thing to share. It really is, and she shouldn't have done it. But also, in that moment, Chrishell's trying to explain why she's so frustrated and why she doesn't support the relationship. But also, I think we get the point as viewers, like, she didn't have to add that in. She said so much about Blake that is sufficient enough to explain why she doesn't like him, that sharing that bathroom moment wasn't necessary, and yeah, she shouldn't have done it.
If you're arguing with somebody or something like that, you don't really want them to hear, you know, you're calling your best friend and saying what's going on, and that's ultimately, you know, she was like, hey, what are you doing? And I happened to call her and I, you know, was confiding in my best friend. That was also a private moment between her and I that had no right to be shared. So
that phrase that she just said, I'm pretty sure was said by someone else at the reunion. Maybe it was Mary or Brie said that it was a private moment and you shouldn't have shared that. Again, like I said, I agree. But I've noticed with Emma, and maybe this is the issue, again, this is all speculation and opinion, there's no malice behind what I'm about to say. Maybe the issue with Emma is that her personality changes depending on who she's around. If that was the case, it would make the situation make so much more sense, because when she's with Chelsea and Chrishell, she's got the same views and opinions as them, like she morphs into that sort of thing. When she's with Blake, she morphs kind of into what his views are. That's the only thing in my head that would make sense as to why this has played out the way it's played out, and how someone can have this group of friends with a certain type of morals and then also simultaneously want to be in a relationship with this kind of man who has very questionable views and opinions. Maybe the case purely is Emma doesn't have a stance on anything and it fluctuates depending on who she's around. Maybe that's the case, and would also explain why she's kind of regurgitating or reiterating things that someone else has said, because that is a good line and it is true, but I'm pretty sure someone else at the reunion said it.
Oh, you don't do that.
Yeah.
That was wrong.
So it was just you were venting in the moment.
Yeah.
And
of course, you do that. You do that with your best friend, no matter who it is. But, you know, Chelsea didn't go and air that out for the world to see and hear about. That was a private moment between myself and Chrishell that she chose to share.
Also, it was apparent to me in this season that Chelsea has learned from her past mistakes, because when she first came into the show, she was very much in relation to Brie, very outspoken about what she thought about her relationship with Nick. Then in this season, and it threw me sideways a little bit, I'm going to be honest, when it came to Emma's relationship with Blake, she was making a very specific, conscious effort to, not blindly support, but to withhold her opinion on it. Like, she was just very much the impartial friend. I would almost guarantee she does not like Blake, and even in that moment she didn't like Blake, but she was very clearly making an effort to just not say it. I feel like that's significant character progression, to be honest, and a part of me was like, well, why did she have a certain energy towards Brie but not have the same energy towards Emma? Because the situations aren't the same, but they're similar. Like, it all surrounds something that a lot of people view as immoral. So I don't know, I just thought it was interesting.
But
which Mary called her out on at the reunion, but she kind of doubled down on, we're on a reality show, like we signed up to share our lives.
Exactly, but that wasn't part of the reality show. That was my real life, and you know, I would never share something about
That sentence is just insane to say. We were on a reality show, but that part was a part of my real life. I think that just goes to show that all of us that watch reality TV, and we kind of already knew this, reality TV is fake reality. It's reality that's also fictionalized, and Emma's basically just said it here. It's like, yeah, I signed up to a reality TV show, but my real life, I didn't sign up to be shared, which is frustrating because I would agree with Chrishell on that. Chrishell's issue with production and reality TV is very much becoming clear because her stance is, why are you on a reality TV show if you're mad at me for sharing the reality of your relationship and what's going on? And I can completely understand that frustration because it's like, what's the point? What's the point? Anyway, I find that whole sentence, I need to watch it again, to be honest. I found that whole sentence just a little bit hilarious.
Down on, we're on a reality show, like we signed up to share our lives.
Exactly, but that wasn't part of the reality show. That was my real life, and I would never share something about anyone's private life that wasn't brought to camera. That's just who I am.
She's really...
I'm not being funny, sorry Emma, but that is so rich to sit there and say, I would never air things like that haven't been brought to camera because that's just who I am. It's like, hello, do you not see who you're in a relationship with?
She's really come for Blake's character.
Oh, yes.
She's essentially labeled him a bigot. He has posted on his socials asking, should I sue her for the things she said about me?
What the heck? Like, look at that. Should I sue her for lying her off about me? Fuck that. I like this interviewer. I feel like he's genuinely asking really good questions, but I don't like that he minimized what that story actually said. They did show it on screen, to be fair, but if you were to take what he just said about the story, you'd be like, what's so wrong with that? But actually, in the story, he's calling her a bitch multiple times. It's odd behavior. It's really odd.
How do you feel about being caught in the middle of their kind of back and forth online?
It's one of the worst feelings ever because it's like, I want them both to just stop, like just stop arguing, like please, like there's there's bigger things going on in the world that, like just stop fighting. I know.
I hate when people say that. I hate when people say that because it minimizes other issues that are issues. It's like, how dare you be annoyed that I have a really horrible boyfriend when there's people dying? It's like, why can't you be annoyed about both? I hate when people say that.
That she hates him, and yeah, like he will snap back. I think he just wants her to stop talking about him. Like, just stop. Like, can everyone just stop, move past this? Like, we've established that the friendship is over. That's sad enough as it is. So can we move forward from all of this?
She's essentially called you a liar and said you are protecting him and
This is not what was said, but good job, Emma, inflaming the hate for my partner and their preferred pronoun use. I have never gotten mad if someone politely used G's pronouns wrong. That's true, and Chrishell has said that consistently, repetitively, throughout the last few seasons, ever since she's been with G. It happens all the time and I gently correct and we move on. I will wait to see what airs on the reunion before fully responding, but since filming the reunion, his own very hateful posts on IG story against LGBTQ community speak volumes on who to believe here. Yeah, I mean, she ate. I don't have anything to say in response to that.
You said on the reunion that you don't agree with everything he's done and all his beliefs, but how do you, as his girlfriend, navigate that? Because to me, a good foundation of a relationship is having a similar worldview.
For sure. So
I like this interviewer because he has very professionally and subtly just said to her, what's going on in your relationship? Because for a relationship to work, you kind of have to view the world similarly. And in that, he's basically saying to Emma, you must have the same opinions as Blake because you must do, because why would you be with him? I like that. That's a great question.
For instance, I mean, he's super family oriented. He's a caring, loving person. Obviously, there's certain things
that's the same answer she always gives. Every time she's asked what she likes about Blake, she says, oh, he's super family oriented. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with liking someone who's family oriented, and I'm not saying that's a character flaw in Blake. It's just a little bit funny to see that that's always the response. Like, there are thousands and thousands and millions of other people who are also family oriented. Like, why is it Blake? Give me more. I mean, she's probably about to. Let's hear her.
You know, he's impulsive, so he'll post, should I sue her, and things like that. But she posts stuff, she's impulsive too. So like the two of them, like for me, I'm very like, I mind my own business, I'm not confrontational, but I do believe that people can change. And I feel like when you're with a good person, they can help you grow and develop. So that's kind of where I'm at with the relationship. And I do feel like people can, you know, become better people and things like that.
I don't like this perspective on relationships. She's basically just said there, Blake's got horrible views, but I think he has capacity to change and I can change him. Why be in a relationship with someone that requires that much change unless you don't actually think there's that much of a problem?
You did bring up that he's very family oriented, very good with your nieces and nephews. I think you said that your dad maybe wasn't necessarily sold on him from meeting him. Jason at the reunion questioned if you were lowering your standards to be with him.
Literally everybody has had a problem with Blake and she doesn't want to hear it, which is fine. Her relationship is her relationship, but when everybody in your life is questioning that relationship, surely you'd take a step back. Surely you'd be like, okay, there's something wrong here.
What do you think people are missing about Blake?
I think that everyone in my life, Jason included, I think they hold me to such a high standard.
Again, she's just repeating things that other people have said at the reunion. It's like, why isn't she using her own words? Why is she repeating things? They hold me to a very high standard is exactly the thing that Jason was saying. He's like, I don't like Blake because we hold you to a very high standard and you don't hold yourself to that. Which I'm guessing is the exact thing she's about to say.
And so it's almost like even Chelsea says in one of the scenes, 99.9% of guys will never be good enough for you. And I think that that's okay. They're coming from a loving place, but it's also, you know, not okay to judge every single person that I'm with based on you guys holding me to this high standard, you know?
Some unattainable thing.
Yeah.
You and Chrishell called each other best friends. Do you think there was any more fighting you could have done to save the relationship, or?
For me?
Sorry. What kind of question is that? Do you think you could have fought a little bit more to save the friendship? Because we all know that fighting, you know, does really good for relationships. Like Chrishell and Nicole, they fought a lot and now they have a great relationship. Christine, I'm sure they talk every day.
I feel like I tried my absolute hardest. I think that I probably could have maybe communicated better when it came to, okay, I am gonna go spend time with him. However, like, you know, it was one of those things where sometimes a lot of the stuff was last minute and, you know, I didn't really know till the night before and I don't feel like I need to, as a grown woman, send out a text and be like, hey, I'm going to go visit him. You know, these are like, this is my...
I wish she would have just said, I didn't feel comfortable telling Chrishell that I was going to see him because she so openly disliked him. That would make more sense as an answer to me. Like maybe some of it was last minute, but I think the situation that Chrishell was talking about in the reunion is if I remember correctly, they were at a concert and she left really, really early and she told Chrishell it was for a family thing. And that's just like an outright lie. And then she finds out she's actually with Blake. Like I can understand being frustrated about that. But if Emma had just said here, the reason I lied, the reason why I didn't say anything is because I felt uncomfortable and I didn't want to have to deal with the negativity. Like that would have been so completely fair because Chrishell has been, in a lot of people's eyes, a really unsupportive friend when it comes to Blake. So it would make sense why Emma wouldn't want to tell her. And I'd respect her a lot more and be on her side a lot more if she'd just said that was the reason instead of saying, oh, it was last minute. Be honest. I'd like the honesty.
Decision. This is my life and I love you and I've never treated you with anything but love and kindness and I've been so supportive of your relationship or whichever relationship, obviously Jason, whoever it was, you know what I mean? Jason G, I love my friends so much. I love my family so much. So like there was nothing else that I could have done.
Do you think there's any salvaging it in the future or this friendship is dead and done?
I think there's a lot of damage that has been done, but like I said, I don't wish anything but great things for her, for G, for anything, and if she ever wanted to have a conversation and wanted to talk about things, I mean, the door is open.
Okay, I feel like that's a nice place to end it. There is literally 10 more minutes of the video to watch, so if you want to go and watch that, head to the Entertainment Tonight link in my bio, which is the video I've been watching. Her response to that last question seemed really genuine, and in an ideal world it would be nice if Emma and Chrishell made amends, but that's just not realistic. If Emma wants to continue to date Blake, there's no world in which she can date Blake and still be friends with Chrishell. It's just not going to happen. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there has been a huge amount of discourse online about this season, and that is true. The majority of it is not necessarily about this situation with Emma and Chrishell. There is another situation with Mary and Chelsea, which I will probably cover on a different video, but let's see what the internet has to say. So this is the Reddit, and this post that I found it by searching Emma's name and then filtering it for the one with most comments. I thought that might be the easiest way to figure out what Reddit's stance is on all this, and I'm not surprised to find out that they are very much Team Chrishell in this whole situation. This post, Chrishell's statement towards Emma's BF. Let's take a look. The posts I shared from Emma's BF, he shared all of this publicly, plus so much more than I shared, inciting hate speech towards the LGBTQ community, along with proudly telling myself and Chelsea he feels entitled to use the N-word. Emma chooses to date him, that's on her. True. She doesn't mind the hate speech. I mean, you can imply that. If Emma knows that he has these opinions and that he said these things, it's only fair to imply that she doesn't mind it, because if she did, she wouldn't be with him. She just minded me drawing attention to his page where he was doing it. Yeah. I think Emma's issue with her doing this, and a lot of people who are Team Emma's issue with this, is that it wasn't a very friend thing to do, and you would be right, that is not a very friend thing to do. But Chrishell has owned the fact that at that point she is not friends with Emma, so the argument doesn't really stand. You can call Chrishell a bad friend all you want, but at that point she wasn't trying to be a friend. She was trying to call out some really problematic behaviour, and she has a right to do that. All of which she knew about for the year and a half before I ever said anything. That's hurtful to learn her morals when her queer and black friend were her best friends, and I'm tired of this narrative. Exactly. If I see racism and homophobia, I'm not the girl to help you cover it up. Using a Michelle Obama quote about taking the high road on a show where she defended his use of the N-word and hasn't spoken up for Chelsea's treatment when others work to paint her as a threat is mind-blowing. There we go. This is another thing to add to the conversation. Everyone is dogpiling on Chrishell for being a bad friend, when actually, how bad of a friend is Emma? She has not once spoken up about the issues that Chelsea is going through with production and the unfair treatment of her. So it's all just a bit rich. Let's read some of the comments. The top comment, shout out to Chrishell for standing on her ground and being a great friend to Chelsea. This is another thing. Everyone says that Chrishell's not a great friend. I think the issue is Chrishell does have the capacity to be a mean girl, and I will agree, especially in this last season. A lot of people say that, oh, she always thinks people are out to get her, and I very much do get that vibe. But in Chrishell's defense, she is a great friend for people that deserve it. Emma is not somebody who deserved it. And so Mean Girl Chrishell came out, and I'm not saying that's necessarily right. Everything that Chrishell has said has truth to it. She's not making things up. She is just standing up for what she thinks is right, and I don't know, you can't really hate her for that. Let's read this one. Posts on here and other social media platforms continue to frame Chrishell disapproving Emma's choice of boyfriend as something personal when it's largely driven by the fact that the guy is a bigoted POS. By the way, he liked a MAGA comment on his most recent post with Emma as recent as yesterday, but Emma sat there and lied, saying Chrishell was wrong to call him MAGA. I think it's very fair to say that Emma downplays what Blake's views actually are, and it's difficult to say whether that's because she's in a really toxic relationship and wants to see the best in him, or if it's because she knows his views are wrong, she knows what they are, and she just doesn't care. It's really hard to say, and I don't want to speak on that because the season has made it very clear that the relationship with Blake is toxic, and Chrishell has made that very clear, rightly or wrongly. So it's hard for me. It's really hard for me to sit here and say Emma's a really horrible person and she's doing this maliciously, because we don't know the ins and outs of the relationship, and I don't want to undermine how powerful toxic relationships are. So I think it's fair to say that the majority of the internet are team Chrishell, and although I don't necessarily want to pick sides, if I had to, I would agree. I think Chrishell is more right than she is wrong in the situation. It's easier for me to justify Chrishell's wrongdoings than it is Emma's, because Chrishell's wrongdoings make sense in my eyes and Emma's doesn't. Like, I can't compute how she could go from having the two best friends that she did have to choosing that kind of boyfriend. Like, it doesn't line up. But when I think about Chrishell's wrongdoings, it's easier for me to understand how she got there and where that came from. So when she shared that private moment at the reunion, she only did that to communicate why she is so disapproving of the relationship. It was wrong and really insensitive, especially given the context of the fact that we know that Emma's in a toxic relationship. But I understand it. It was wrong, but I get why she wanted to say it. To close off the video, again, I want to remind you, I have my opinions, you have yours. We can agree, we can also disagree. But at the end of the day, I do not encourage hate for any of the people that I talk about in these videos. It's purely just for discussion purposes. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. See ya.